If you'd like online business explained to you in a way that you can actually understand, go to latenightim.com/explain. It's completely free, and I made it just for you. Now, how about an episode? Episode 226.
Late Night Internet Marketing.
This week on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast, I talk about the crazy role that your mind and the way you think about things can have on the success of your business in 2022. All this and more on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
The Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
You've been working for somebody else, but you want a business to run yourself. You want to know how to start and where to begin. Can you get out your comfort zone, my friend? Yes, you can do it right when it's late at night. At the end of the day, your dreams burning inside. So keep it up and you will find that you're building your business one night at a time.
And now, broadcasting late at night from a little studio in the big state of Texas, your host, Mark Mason.
Hey, how is everyone doing? I am your host, Mark Mason, coming to you from the little studio in Dallas, Texas. I hope your year is off to an amazing, fantastic start. This is certainly the case in Texas. In fact, we've already had all the seasons. We went from 82 degrees to almost 22, or maybe even less, 18, 17 degrees the other night. So we're experiencing the rapid fluctuation in temperatures. It finally feels like winter here. I'm kind of enjoying it. I'll be ready for spring because that's when baseball comes. But for now, I'm having a great time hunkered down in the house, in the little studio, wearing a sweatshirt and talking to you guys about something that I think is incredibly important. And that is the mindset that you have when you work through the goals in your business. Now, you've heard all your life that you need to have a positive mindset. In fact, you've heard it so much that it's likely that you dismiss it as a bunch of bunk. You know, it's an old wives' tale. Having a positive mindset matters. Everybody says that. Nobody knows exactly what they mean. But in this podcast episode, I want to give you some tools. And before I do that, I want to give you some reasons why a positive mindset will actually influence the outcome of your goals and the things that you're trying to accomplish in 2022. Said another way, what I'm telling you is that if you'll implement some of the practices, or even better yet, all of the practices that we're going to talk about during this episode of the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast, you'll be more likely to have success in 2022 when it comes to achieving your goals.
It's time to get to work building your internet business. One night at a time.
One night at a time.
So before we dig into this, I wanted to tell you the motivation, how I got on this topic, why it ended up as a podcast episode. I was out and about here in Dallas the other day, and I was shopping, and I am kind of a happy person, and I like to make people smile. And I was at the register at a local store, and I walked up to the guy and I said, "Happy New Year." And the guy said, "Well, I guess we'll see, won't we?" And I thought, oh my gosh. I said, first of all, you've misunderstood the statement, Happy New Year. The etymology of this greeting, Happy New Year, is a wish for you to have a Happy New Year. So I'm not saying that the new year is going to be happy or that it is already happy. I'm essentially saying, I hope that you have a Happy New Year. But on top of that, I just thought, oh, this poor guy. I mean, his whole life is probably summed up in that sentence that he's already decided that this year is probably going to be terrible. And I thought, this guy doesn't have a chance to be successful at whatever it is that he's trying to do this year because he's already so defeated. And while you may not be at that extreme where you're just totally already beaten down by everything around you in the new year, I did want to take time to help you understand the importance of a positive mindset. Okay. So when we talk about mindset, the first question that people always have when they want to challenge the idea that mindset is important is, why is it important? I'll give you 4 really good reasons why controlling your mindset and essentially looking at things in the right way with a winning attitude is important. The first reason is that your mind and the way that you think about things is actually what gives everything context and meaning. Tony Robbins is one of my favorite guys that talks about these kind of things, is famous for this idea that nothing in your life actually even has any meaning unless you give it the meaning. It's not like there's a label on the front of the things in your life that tells you what they mean to you. You decide what the meaning of things is. And so if you have a positive mindset and you're approaching things from that perspective, it means that you will assign a more favorable meaning to the events that happens in your life. It gives context to the things that happen. And fundamentally what it means is that you're biasing the things that happen to you in your life and the things that you cause to happen and the events that occur around you. If you have a positive mindset, you're creating a bias that makes those things feel and actually be more favorable. After all, you decide what things mean. So having a positive mindset is an incredibly powerful tool for flipping the script on things that happen and assigning meaning that's favorable to the things that happen in your life. So that's kind of a feel-good thing, a thing that puts you in the right frame of mind, almost a self-fulfilling prophecy around positive mindset. But there are real tangible benefits to positive mindset too. The second thing I'd say that's important about positive mindset is that it's absolutely critical for getting a hold of whatever drive or motivation that you have that you're going to use to accomplish your goals in 2022. Let's face it, the definition of a goal is you achieving something that has previously not been available to you, you haven't done before. And usually that's because these things are a little difficult, a little outside of your comfort zone. They require work and effort. And so where is that work and effort going to come from? Part of it's going to come from your internal drive, motivation, and will to instantiate that goal, to achieve it, to make it happen. And if you've got a poor mental attitude, you're just not going to be able to get a hold of that. You're going to be more likely to sit on the couch, to mope around, to find something else to do, to procrastinate, to avoid the work that is needed to achieve your goal. So that's why mindset is so important for harnessing that power. Because if you've got that positive mental attitude, you're expecting good outcomes, you're in the right frame of mind, you're going to be more likely to get to work. Now, the third thing is, of course, and I've talked about this many times, your ability to overcome adversity on the way to achieving your goal is absolutely impacted by your mindset. If you've got a great mindset, when adversity comes, you're going to be more likely to say something like what my friend Cliff Ravenscraft says. Well, what is this bad thing that happened, this challenge that is in front of me? What does it make possible? I was supposed to do something outside today, but it rained. Oh, well, I have two choices. In a terrible mindset mode, I can mope around and be defeated. If I've got a great mindset, I'm asking, well, what does the rain make possible? What can I do now that I couldn't do before? How can I flip the script on this and make things better? See, the positive mindset allows you to take lemons and make lemonade whenever you face adversity, or to understand just simply that the adversity will pass, that you can overcome it, and that you can still achieve your goal. Without a positive mindset, your mind will tell you that you're defeated and that you might as well give up. And I think that's one of the most critical reasons you want to have a positive mindset. And then I think number 4 is, in general, having a positive mindset just makes positive outcomes more likely. Positive mindsets give you the courage that you need to do great things. But more than that, a positive mindset activates your subconscious mind to provide solutions. I always say this, and people look at me like I'm some kind of new age weirdo, but really, I think the question you need to ask yourself is, when you are brushing your teeth or you are in the shower and suddenly out of nowhere, you get the answer to something that's been bugging you for months or weeks or days, where does that come from? Have you ever wondered that? I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from your subconscious mind. I think this is a pretty well understood idea that when you present a problem to your mind, there's 2 minds working on this. There's 2 parts of your brain that's working on it. There's your conscious mind, the logical mind, the mind that's trying to solve the problem actively in the foreground. But there's also this background process, your subconscious mind, and it's constantly working on these problems. And when you give your subconscious mind this kind of positive context, this expectation that problems will be solved and things are going to happen, and your subconscious mind can see these things and will provide you these solutions when you're brushing your teeth. That's where these come from. I know this doesn't seem particularly scientific coming from an engineer. I'm just telling you that my experience is that when you have a positive mindset, your mind is much more free to arrive at solutions for your problems. And I believe that comes from the fact that your subconscious mind is working these things in the background. So lots of reasons to have a positive mindset. And I think, there's a question here that is obvious. It comes from this. What the heck does that really mean? What is a positive mindset and how do I get one? I agree. I can buy into the fact that I should have a positive mindset, but I don't understand how to get there. Well, let's talk about first what a positive mindset is. I think a positive mindset is something that has to do with the way you perceive things that are happening and what you expect to happen next. That's really the 2 things. Maybe we'll add a third one, how you feel about things that have happened. So a positive mindset involves having a healthy view of the things that have happened to you in the past, understanding what and dealing with the things that are happening to you right now in a positive way, and having an expectation of good things and success in the future. That's really what a positive mindset breaks down into for me. The past, the present, and the future. I'm not beating myself up about what things happened in the past. I'm learning from them. I'm working hard in the present because in the future, I have an expectation that great things are going to happen. That's a definition of a positive mindset that I think applies well in this context. And so the question is, how do you get one? What do you do to achieve a positive mindset? I'd say the very first thing that you need to do is start every day in a positive way. I'll never forget this story that Zig Ziglar used to tell in one of his books, like See You on the Way to the Top or one of those. I can't remember exactly which book this is in, but he talks about the attitude that you should have when your feet hit the ground. In the morning, people wake up and the alarm clock goes off and you have this picture of people that just hate the fact that they've got to get out of bed. And Zig talks a lot about having the point of view that the day it presents an opportunity for you to do all kinds of things, for you to accomplish things, for you to help people and be great. The new day is an opportunity for you to do all these things. And it's often expressed in the context of things like a job. You've got to wake up and go to this job that you hate. Well, what are the things that you love about that job? You love the paycheck. You love the benefits. You love the fact that you actually have it and you're not pounding the pavement looking for a job. There are people there that you like. There are lots of things to like. And so starting your day positively is really important. When you get out of bed, what is it that you have to look forward to? ideally, in a best possible scenario, you're flying out of bed every morning because you're so excited about the things that are in front of you. Well, that starts with thinking about those things that way. And I think that's really important for you to have that positive mindset the first thing when you wake up in the morning. And one way that people do that is they start the day with affirmations. They have a pre-formatted script where they think back through the 4 or 5 things that they're really thankful for and the opportunities they're going to have that day. Starting the day with a positive mindset is one of the key ways to have a positive mindset throughout the day and the remainder of the week. I think the second thing you can do to maintain a positive mindset is to celebrate all the small successes in your life. You know, we have a tendency, I think this is particularly true of engineers, that we have a tendency to focus on the things that are wrong and broken. After all, as an engineer, my job is to fix things in many cases that are wrong and broken. And that's a terrible way to go through life if that's all you're focused on. I think it's much, much better and very helpful when it comes to maintaining a positive mindset for you to focus on small successes that you have. For example, I'm going to successfully complete the recording of this podcast. That's a small success. It's not even so small because, as you know, one of my main goals for this year is to put out 52 podcasts this year. This is podcast number 1 of 52. That's a success for me, and I'm excited about it. And celebrating that in some small way is one way that I can maintain my positive attitude throughout the day. There are many such small successes, some of them much smaller than finishing the recording of a podcast, but you get the idea. I think the third thing you can do, and this is one of my very favorites, is to use humor to keep your mindset going in the right direction. And I don't mean sarcastic, biting, dark humor. I mean happy little funny humor, including dad jokes, which are, you know, some of my specialty, to keep things moving and going through the day and to brighten the lives of other people, which is a side thing of number 3. I think one of the things that you can do is bring that humor and positivity to other people. It's one of my very favorite things to do in the world is to make other people smile. That's smiling through humor and happiness. If you can have that attitude where you're trying to actually generate that stuff becomes contagious. So use a little humor in your day, and that will help you maintain a positive attitude. Well, number 4 has to do with failure. And you say, Mark, that's the reason I have trouble having a positive attitude is because I have failures in my life. Well, for number 4, I would tell you, flip the script on that. Use those failures not as failures, view them as opportunities to learn. After all, you know, failure, that's really what it is when it's done right, is failure is the way we learn things. We fail. And so we look at how we failed and we determine what we need to do to keep from failing again. Failure is learning. And you learned this in school. You did your math over and over and over again. You did it incorrectly until you learned how to do it. Same thing with spelling. Same thing with walking. When you learn how to walk, you don't remember this, but if you've had children, you know, you just keep putting them up again, letting them try again, try to help them by making sure that they don't hit their head on the coffee table, but you let them keep trying until they get it right. And what they're doing is they're forming the neural pathways that teach them how to balance and walk without falling down. And they do that by falling down. That's how you do it. And so if you have that view of failure, that failure is really learning, I think then suddenly, all of a sudden, you have the opportunity to view that in a positive way. And that can really help with your positive mindset, especially when you're having trouble with some issue of your business or with your goals. The fifth thing I would say, and this is another thing that my friend Cliff Ravenscraft helps people work on all the time. He's over at mindsetanswerman.com. And one of the things that he talks about all the time is the words that we use. And it can be very subtle. The way we work negative language and a negative mindset into our language and the expectation of failure and the self-deprecation that we use to put ourselves down. All of these small things that we allow in our language works against having a positive mindset, something you really need to pay attention to. It's something that we work at on the baseball diamond all the time. A kid strikes out and he says, I can't hit. He goes, you can imagine this big situation in a game. A kid strikes out swinging. He comes back to the dugout. He says, Coach, I just can't hit. Well, that mindset, that's the wrong mindset. The right mindset is, Coach, I want to get back in there. I'm going to hit next time. Right. I understand I didn't hit this time. I expect to hit next time. And better still, I'm going to work on getting better to hit next time. That sort of expectation is what we teach baseball players, to have a very short memory around failure and an expectation of success. That's really important. And the language that we use is how we express that expectation. And if you're not careful, if you use negative language to describe the things that are happening to you during the day, you will program your mind to have a negative attitude, to expect bad outcomes, and those things will manifest themselves. You'll bring those bad outcomes to you. And so you want to make sure that you're using the right kind of language during the day. And then the sixth thing that I think you can do, and this is another baseball thing, I tell every morning, I take my son, and sometimes I also get to take my daughter to school. And a lot of times when I'm taking my son, I'm taking him to the weight room or to baseball practice. I take my daughter, I'm dropping her off in the carpool line, or even better, when it's not terribly cold outside, I'm walking her to school. And the last thing I tell them is win the day. Figure out what you can do today in the present day to be successful today. Because it turns out when you stack up 365 wins, that's a lot of wins. You're not going to win every day. But when you stack up a year full of mostly won days, you're going to love that result. And that idea, that mindset around winning the day, just focusing on today and not worrying about all the uncertainty of the future, that can really impact your mindset and drive it in a positive direction. Because by staying focused on today, all the things that you're afraid of that are going to happen tomorrow and next month, and the bad outcomes that are usually incredibly unlikely, but you're still worried about them anyway because you're that kind of person, all of a sudden they're not in the conversation because you're focused on today. And I think winning the day, having the mindset to win the day, is a significant tool in maintaining a positive mindset throughout the week. And then finally, perhaps this is the most important one, surround yourself with people that have positive mindsets. I mentioned my friend Cliff. He's a huge influence on my life. He constantly corrects me. I'm a positive guy, and he constantly observes and corrects me. And more importantly, I think models that behavior that I'm talking about. He has a positive mindset, and that's contagious. Don't hang around people that are bringing you down. Don't hang around the people that are expecting you to fail or that secretly hope that you will fail, because if you succeed, it makes them look bad. Get away from those people. You need to surround yourself with people that lift you up and that expect you to succeed and that can help you with your positive mindset. So there you go. Now you know why a positive mindset is important. So I've given you the motivation that you need to go do something about your mindset. And I've given you 7 tools that you could use in order to improve your mindset and improve the chances that you're going to achieve your goals this year in 2022. So now what?
Now it's your turn. What action are you going to take to build your business?
One night at a time.
Well, of course, the now what is, what are you going to do this week? And this is a new thing that we're starting on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast. Each week, I'm going to try to leave you with something actionable to go do. And this week, what I want you to do is to journal about your mindset. And yeah, actually journal in a paper journal, in a piece of paper, in a little journal. If you feel that you must use electronic journal, fine, use Apple Notes or whatever makes sense for you. But I want you to journal what your mindset is like. And each day I want you to note 3 things. And the first one is, I want you to make a quick note about what you're grateful for that day. Now, gratitude journaling is probably the 8th thing that you can do to help you have a positive mindset. I want you to do that every day for a week. Just jot down 1 or 2 things that you're thankful for that day. The second thing that I want you to do is make a note of the action that you're going to take that day, the specific action that you're going to take to make sure that your mindset is moving in the right direction. Are you going to try to use humor during the day? Are you going to commit to learning from your failures, or are you going to unpack a failure from a previous day? What are you going to do today to make positive gains with regard to your positive mindset? So that's the second thing. And then the third thing I want you to do is I want you to make a note of how you did yesterday. How did you do with regard to your mindset yesterday? And be honest. Was it good? Did you have a good mindset throughout the day? Or did you try but fail? And what can you learn from that? And what are you going to do better today? So just 3 things. What are you grateful for? What are you going to do today to help your mindset? And how did you do yesterday? Do that for a week. And then send me a note at feedback at Late Night Internet Marketing. Let me know how it went. Did that help you? Was it great? Or did you have problems? And if you had problems, what were those problems? And how can I help you with that? Again, that's feedback at latenight.internetmarketing.com. Or if that's too much typing, it's latenightim.com. So I hope to hear from you. I hope this helps you. I hope that having a positive mindset is something that you can achieve. And I hope that by having a positive mindset, you become more likely to lock down those goals for 2022 and achieve great success. After all, that's why we're here. Hey, if this podcast was helpful for you, I would love it if you'd go look around and find a place to like it. I used to try to describe how to like podcasts, but it really depends on what your platform is and how you're listening. But find a like button to smash on and subscribe. It's wonderful when you subscribe. All that means doesn't cost you any money. All that means is when I come out with a new helpful episode that you'll be notified. And that really helps me. Both of those things help me because it tells your podcast platform that this is a great podcast that they should show to other people. Thank you so much. And I cannot wait to talk to you next week. Ciao.
You can do it right when it's late at night.
You've been listening to the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
Be sure to visit LNIMpodcast.com today to leave feedback for Mark. Download special bonus content, access the show notes, and more. See you there.
Until then, go and make some great progress on your internet business, one night at a time.
Business one night at a time.
So you guys know I'm an engineer. I'm such a geeky dork when it comes to engineering. And I am so excited about the James Webb Space Telescope. I'm not just excited for what the Space Telescope is going to provide in terms of science data. If you don't know, this Space Telescope, it has the capability to look in the infrared. And why that's interesting is because light that is coming to us from very far away is shifted from the visible to the infrared because the universe is expanding. So the universe is expanding like an explosion. Okay. And so we're getting farther and farther away from the center of the universe and at all times. The universe is traveling very, very fast. It's expanding faster and faster. And so the effect that this has on light is that it shifts the color of the light from the visible spectrum to infrared, to less than red, something that looks more like a heat wave, really. And so it's hard for a normal camera to see that. So you make a special telescope, a special camera that can observe infrared. And the way to think about this shifting of the color of the light that's coming from the beginning of the universe is that it's like the way a train horn or a car horn sounds whenever the car is driving by. If a car horn sounds and the car is stationary, it has a single tone sound. It sounds the same. But if the car is driving by you, The tone of the car horn shifts because the sound is moving away from you. And that changes the frequency of the sound because the distance between you and the horn is changing. And that's happening at the same time that the sound is propagating to you. So that's the same thing that's happening with light in the universe. And so you need a special telescope to see this. What this means is they may be able to see light from the beginning of the universe, which is super cool. But what's even cooler than that to me is the fact that they got this thing up there at all. It is an unbelievably complicated spacecraft in the sense that it's a giant telescope, giant meaning it's the whole apparatus is the size of several tennis courts. And they had to fit it in a rocket capsule, which means they had to fold it up. So when they get into space, they have to unfold it. And it's a very precise scientific instrument. So they have to unfold big things like the sun shield, which are tennis court size, and big things like the main telescope mirror, which is huge. I mean, it's the size of, a large home, this thing. So it's an amazing thing. And I encourage you to go to web.nasa.gov to learn about this amazing space telescope. It's really fantastic. And it's been so exciting to watch. They launched it on Christmas Day, I believe, and they're in the process of unfolding it. It takes 2 weeks to unfold. Then they'll travel to their observation location, which is a complicated thing called a Lagrange point. But basically, that's a place where they can sit still, and it takes very little rocket fuel for them to maintain that stationary position in orbit. So it's a very, very stable place for them to remain in orbit around the sun, and they're going to take pictures. And one of the cool results so far is that they did such a good job of getting the thing up there. They had such a perfect launch that there's a lot of rocket fuel left. And this means that the Webb telescope will have enough fuel to stay in orbit, maintain its position, and take data for more than a decade. So we're all very excited about that. None more than the amazing people at NASA and the other space agencies that are making this happen. Go check it out. web.nasa.gov. Ciao.
Late night internet marketing.
Hey, it's Mark again. I wanted to tell you one more time about this absolutely free resource that I have for helping people who are trying to get the big picture for internet marketing, actually get started and understand what all their choices are. If that's not you, there's no more content. You can skip to the end. But if you're someone who came to this podcast because you're searching for how to get started online and you just can't cut through all the noise, I get it. That was me in 2007 when I was trying to get started. There were so many people throwing offers at me that I really couldn't even understand what all the different business models were. I couldn't understand how money moved around on the internet. And I couldn't really get a grip on what direction I wanted to go in so I could figure out how to move forward. I've created a free video resource for you just for that purpose at latenightim.com/explain. In several short videos, I just explained to you what internet marketing is all about and what online business is all about and the different options that you have for starting an online business. There's nothing to buy there. You just sign up for access and you get the videos just like that. So if that's interesting to you, or if you know someone who's in a same situation, send them that link, latenightim.com/explain. And let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what people are thinking that are in the exact same position that I was in more than a decade ago in 2007. In some ways, it seems like yesterday. And in some ways, it seems like an entire lifetime ago. Again, that's latenightim.com/explain.
Late night internet marketing.